All right, here we go. It's game time. Game number 2 between PartinG and Jim. PartinG, your red Protoss at the top right of the map. Yonsu, and down at the bottom left, we have our blue Protoss player from China, and Invictus Gaming, Jim.
PartinG up 1-0 in this series.
Yep.
And just basically playing a more defensive style, as we expected to see in game 1. See if Jim wants to play straight up this time, or if he's got another proxy in the works. Wouldn't be surprised to see Jim on this map try to go for a Blink Stalker build from the beginning, just straight Twilight Council into Blink Stalker, no hidden tech.
Well, I feel like I've seen Blink Stalker builds win games more than anything else in this tournament so far this week. And I've casted like nearly only PvPs this weekend too.
Yeah, same here. So many PvPs. I got one PvT and one PvZ, but PvP has been the
I got one PvT. That's all I got. The rest of it was Protoss versus Protoss. So stop whining, Protoss players.
Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they change things up here in game 2.
Yep.
You know, the third place match is, I feel, so much more important for Jim, because for him it's like representing China, whereas PartinG already has 2 Korean representatives in the grand final.
Yeah.
So he's just, for him it's like, all right, I get the whole Korean lockout if I win, but it's not as big of a deal for him, I feel, as it is for Jim.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, but Korea, you know, would love to have those top 3 spots all be people from their country.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is that I feel like we have a lot less strength coming from the you know, non-Korean, non-Chinese community this year. I mean, last year Adele Scott, French Protoss player, actually made it to the finals against PartinG.
That was what we had. And PartinG actually was favored by a lot of people in China to win it again, just because he won last year.
Yeah. Well, that does have to be a little bit of a disappointment for PartinG too, and a big reason why he really wants this 3rd place, because he won last season, he won last year. So to come back here and make it so close, but just not quite get into the finals, it's got to be a bit of a blow emotionally to PartinG, and at least he can console himself a little bit with 3rd.
Yeah, and he wants that 3rd place for sure. They're both going into second gateway here, so we will see some Stalker aggression coming out once that core is done.
Oh yeah. As usual.
And it's all about micro if both players go for the same kind of opening. Okay, so we see that PartinG actually goes for Mothership Core first. But when they meet in the middle of the map, if you lose your Mothership Core because of a miss micro or a misclick, or you know, try to get too greedy on how much damage you can get done in that little fight, it can actually change the way the early game plays out.
Totally. Yeah, because I mean, you really need that Mothership Core to defend against things like Oracles, etc. Looks like PartinG going for the Stargate pretty quick this game.
In the main, too.
Yeah.
And because it's PartinG and because of the map, I would not be surprised if he actually went Phoenixes instead of an Oracle first.
Right.
But the Oracle is so strong right now, especially in PvP with that new buff. So I would say, if you ask me about pre-patch, I would say I think he's trying to be safe against Jim and go Phoenix. But because of the patch, I think it could also just be Oracles.
It could be. It's kind of a big map to send an Oracle across. I'm a little bit worried about PartinG too, because Jim is probably going to be going Blink again. Yeah, there's the 3rd gateway, so almost certainly Blink.
Yeah.
And, you know, Blink does pretty well, as we just saw, against those Stargate openings.
And what's it going to be?
Oracle. All right.
At least at first, he's going to put the Oracle out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely going to be Blink here. If he goes Dark Shrine, that wouldn't make any sense to me. There's the Blink. It was exactly what we expected. It's what we said from the beginning when this map started. It's like, it's probably going to be Blink. It's exactly what he's doing here. Scout will see the Oracle and maybe get a probe.
I'm really surprised by PartinG's build, actually, because it just seems so lucky. There's a recall. Ooh, Mothership Core getting low, but it does manage to escape. Back to the Nexus. Used up a lot of energy, though. There's going to be no energy for that Nexus cannon when the Oracle comes in, but we can see Jim already stacking Stalkers at home, so this Oracle from PartinG is really not going to do much of anything.
Not going to do anything except keep his Nexus safe, because
it will allow that.
When he has the Oracle going in, that's going to keep Jim's attack back. He also goes for a Void Ray here to be safe, and I really like his choice of doing that, because now he's basically just saying, I know you're going Blink Stalkers, and I'm going to keep you in your base, and I'm going to get my Nexus up for free and have the better tag.
Yeah, I mean, Jim with a good response getting his Nexus as well, saying, you know, all right, I know I'm not going to be able to really put any aggression on you because of this Oracle. I might as well expand, you know? I love that.
Yeah. So both players just making smart choices back and forth. There's the very smart robotics as well from PartinG. He's going to need those Immortals, because Void Rays are great against Blink Stalkers, but it only when you have a small number of Blink Stalkers. But as the number gets higher, it can be a little bit more difficult to hold with pure Blink Stalkers.
You never know when that DT is going to get added on too. So better safe than sorry for PartinG. And, you know, this is what we were talking about. PartinG just needs to play safe. He just needs to sit back, be calm in this match, and he should be able to handle whatever Jim throws at him. And here comes the Oracle. Couple kills there.
Yeah, and any kill he gets actually in the Oracle is basically a bonus for him right now because his Oracle is serving only as the Blink Stalker deterrent. And the fact that he can get a kill or two off of it is awesome for him. So he can be very, very happy with that.
Yeah.
There's the first Immortal coming out. He has the Oracle to see that there's no DTs and also for detection, so he skips the Observer. A smart choice. And he's just going to have the better tech overall. He has much faster Immortals. And I'm not even sure what Jim is going to hope to accomplish with his play. He has to do some sort of damage here.
Well, he's got a strong army coming across the map, that's for sure. I mean, PartinG has couple sentries, that one Void Ray, but not a lot of, you know, just sheer strength to his army. He's really going to need to get a lot of Stalkers in here. I think this is a great timing for Jim.
He needs to make sure he keeps Jim out of the main base. That's the most important part here.
Yeah.
And if he can get a sentry, that would be great. He does get it.
Yeah, Jim messing up just a little bit there, losing that sentry. Thought he could maybe snipe the Nexus. I think it was a good try. I mean, I think it was a good choice to go in there, and he may not be done yet. May decide to just blink into the main here, too.
I think he could certainly do that.
He's going
This
to.
is a great choice, but he's still under that overcharge.
Wow,
Void Ray
going
doing
after
some damage.
Yeah, going after the Immortal as well. Got the Void Ray. There's the slow.
And that Immortal is actually still alive, doing so much damage, and he knows that with the Time Warp there, he can get a lot done. And it looks like he's going to push it back.
What in the world? Jim gets the Immortal because he might as well get something out of it, but fought to basically a standstill, though. PartinG with the lead now. Oh, Jim.
Oh, Jim, and he's now down 20 supply. PartinG with a healthy economy, the better tech. All he needs to do is make sure he doesn't get his Immortal targeted down, just play a little bit safely here. And he thinks he basically has enough to push it back. He's just going to walk down here. And I think
that Immortal he does, yeah. I would say so. Yeah, and Jim has to back off a little bit. We're going to go into a little bit longer of a game. PartinG, though, with kind of an edge. Oh, with the Warp in, though, that Immortal getting very low. PartinG has those Zealots. Those Zealots actually helping quite a bit, zoning out the Stalkers from finishing off that Immortal.
When you have an Immortal, Zealot's always a great choice because if someone tries to blink in or rush down the Immortal, your Zealots just do so much buffer damage in between, just like you're saying. Now we're going to have a third Immortal very, very soon here, and with 2 alone, it's basically enough. Great micro by PartinG. His micro is insane in this series.
He's done a really good job of keeping those Immortals alive the entire time, moving back into the main to make sure Jim's not going to do any sort of tricky blinks. But as is, PartinG just continues to kind of go up and supply. Oh, man, and catching him a little bit from the high ground. No Mothership Core means that Jim really can't do anything about this.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do.
Third Immortal now.
And Jim hasn't even tried to transition at home. He doesn't have his own robotics. PartinG makes the best choice possible here and makes his own Twilight Council so that he can get the counter blink. And with a counter blink, he can finally just move down his base and actually go and kill Jim. That's what he needs to finish the game, and that is so late for Jim, that Robo.
Yep. Yeah, and PartinG can just kind of clear out some of these forward pylons. And the other thing, too, is PartinG with these observers. I mean, he always was a player that really made a lot of observers, really did a good job keeping that map control, you know, using vision to his advantage. But it's helped out so much. He was able to find the pylon right away. Last game, he was able to see what was in the bases right away. Yeah, I really think PartinG's playing great this series.
4 just going down for both players as they're going to transition into that later stage where you do get the upgrades in PvP. But I think when PartinG's Blink is about to finish, he's just going to move across the map with his Immortal army that has Blink Stalker support and try to end things. If that goes poorly for him, if there's a really solid defense for Gem, he's also got that +1 to fall back on.
Yeah.
And Oracle here as well.
Yeah, why not?
A little bit of harassment. Yeah, he's got the Stargate. It's a good choice.
Yeah, and I think he may be going for a little bit of dropping action here, too, with that Warp Prism. Could warp Zealots into the back, of course. Could decide to just take 2 of his Immortals and drop those and just kill off probes with it as well. I mean, PartinG doing another thing that PartinG loves to do, which is going into more of a harassment-style mid-game.
Yep.
And it could be pretty successful. Now, Jim is getting the robotics base, so he is planning on adding on probably some Colossi here. The problem is, though, is that PartinG already has his +1 a little bit ahead. Yep. There's that scouting Hallucinated Phoenix, but PartinG can also just create a couple Void Rays, too. You know, he can handle those Colossi pretty easily at this point.
That's such a good point. You're absolutely correct with the Stargate there. He's got that versatility. Double cannon up in the main base is basically PartinG saying, I can move out with my army safely now. I don't have to worry about any DTs or even Zealot run-bys. Those cannons will buy me enough time. And I think he's going to use the Warp Prism to lift up his Immortals, make them go into a flank position, make sure they can actually get the shots off on the Stalkers. And the Colossus, if it ever comes to that, if he can ever afford one, he doesn't have one out.
Yeah,
Here's
well,
that harassment.
PartinG just has a massive edge. The first Colossus just started now for Jim. Another thing PartinG could do is just throw down to Templar Archives and get Archons too. That would be perfectly fine in this composition against what Jim has. PartinG coming in though. Here we go. He's got to get those Immortals in position.
Yeah, he does, and the Stalker's blinking away, allowing the Immortals to close the gap. Beautiful time warp there on the Zealots. And then the Mothership Core using that overcharge not really helpful because there's just too many units here.
PartinG just has way too much stuff, although he does need to kind of scoot up a little bit. There we go. Now the Immortals in position.
He can do a forward blink, I think, any moment now, whenever he wants to.
I think so too, yeah.
The Immortals are in position doing so much. The probes are offline for Gem. This is his last moment.
Yep.
As a Chinese representative. The Stalker's
there we
on
go.
top of the
Whoa,
Colossus.
that thing died fast.
Yeah, GG.
Wow, PartinG.
Don't forget that +1 was done for PartinG during that